Hi, I wanted to do a video about the importance of feedback and how we can use it to help us on our inner journey. And I'm sort of talking about feedback at work, really, I suppose, but it could also be with a coach or a mentor or someone else in your private life. Depending on what you're working on at the time. But I think from a work context, I was really thinking about it because it can be quite hard for people to ask for feedback because we don't always want to hear it. We might be a bit fearful or worried about what someone's going to say, and all those things are really valid. But I also think that if you're really trying to achieve something and you're on a path to some kind of growth, or you're trying to achieve a goal, or trying to get to the next job or promotion or whatever it is, one really, really good way is to get feedback. I mean, I think it's good to get feedback from people you trust if you're doing it on a one-to-one basis and you're doing it yourself. You can do other, sort of more managed processes at work. We offer 360 feedback to people where I work, where, you send out a feedback form to a bunch of sort of 10 or 12 people and, get their responses. And I think, a process I've been through a few years ago, actually, which was really, really helpful. And it was where I was really wanting to get unstuck from something I was struggling with. I kind of went out to a group of people, and not all of them were, let's just say I knew that a couple of them were not going to give me particularly positive feedback. There was friction in our relationship for different reasons, personality clashes and all that kind of thing. So I knew there was going to be some tough stuff in there, but I worked with somebody, our chief people officer, to sort of unpick the advice and the feedback. And I think that's really important to do. But I actually think it's really great, to your bosses or, people you work with, people who are kind of mentors and coaches to you at work, or anyone you work quite closely with who's you think could help you get to where you want to get to. And sometimes you do have to ask them a couple of times. And I've had this before, when I've said, have you got any feedback for me? And they've gone, yeah, you're doing a great job. Well, everything's just great in the marketing team and function. It all just works. I kind of went back and went, well, that's not helping me progress. That's not telling me where I can improve, because there's always things we can do better. And it's like, if I want to move up to the next level, then I need to understand why, what's holding me back. And I left it for a bit, and I went back to this person, maybe a few months later. And, she'd obviously she knew that it was important to me to get this feedback. And she just brain dumped. And I took the notes in an email. And it was really good stuff. And there was things in there that, was a bit like, oh, I know, I do that. Ouch. Okay, you got me. But it was really good to have it there on paper. I mean, and you can't change these things overnight, right? There are things that you have to work on over time. But, we have to forgive ourselves and be kind to ourselves and, laugh a little bit about things, the things that we're, oh God, am I still doing that? Oh, damn, yeah, okay. Helps bring awareness to our patterns and behaviours that we do. And, it's okay. We all have our stuff. We all have our things. So feedback's really important. Get it from people. If you think it's going to be difficult, try and do it with some support. Somebody in your HR team, or, a boss or a manager or something like that. But it can unlock a lot, because, there are things, blind spots, and there are things sometimes that we sort of know, but they're not really conscious and we're not really doing anything about them. And to hear them articulated by other people can help us work things out. With my boss, we have a very close relationship, actually. And there was a few things I was stuck on, and I was really like, what's the issue here, And I kept pushing him, what is it I'm not doing, or what do you think? And he couldn't get there. He couldn't figure it out either. And then suddenly, like together, we kind of went, I think it's this. And then I could start to take some little steps. And then once I started to take little steps towards it, it became clearer, you know, where I needed to take some more steps and some bigger steps. And then once you get the momentum and you start to take the little steps, you take more steps, and you know, it sort of snowballs. And then suddenly you're like in a different place altogether, and people are going, oh God, you know, things that you've completely changed, or whatever it is, you know. That's not necessarily a compliment to say that you were doing something wrong in the first place, but you know what I mean. You get that recognition, and people suddenly start to see you in a different way. So that was just what I wanted to say about feedback. It's such a valuable tool. But I think, you know, if you're doing it one-to-one on your own, you know, do it with people you trust, but also people who are going to give you useful feedback. And if you're giving feedback to people, try and do it in a way that it feels constructive. Don't make it personal, you know, make it that, you know, I notice when you do that behavior, or, you know, that, you know, something or other, you know, it doesn't fit within our culture, or whatever it is, something like that, you know, and then you're just focusing on a specific behavior really, rather than, you know, oh, you know, you're not doing that right, you're not one of us, you know. Try and be a bit more specific, and then you can kind of help people understand what it is they need to do. Anyway, that was all I wanted to say on feedback. I hope that's helpful. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.